How did things go so wrong for Jim Jordan?
Are you going to tell your supporters to back down?
The U.S. Congress has now been without a speaker for more than 2 weeks, and frustration is growing.
It's absurd. It's the biggest FU to Republican voters I've ever seen.
Nominee Jim Jordan has had 2 rounds of voting, and he's lost both. The second time by even more than the first.
Jim Jordan says he is staying in the race, but his support is slipping.
Now, to be clear, Jordan had a lot of heavyweight support, and the pressure from his fierce allies to vote for him has been intense.
Some Republicans who voted against GOP Congressman Jim Jordan to be the next Speaker of the House say they're getting death threats.
But he just doesn't have the votes, and it kind of looks like the same powerful force that's propelled Jordan this far could be exactly what stopped him. Jim Jordan leads the House Freedom Caucus, which is seen as one of the most conservative voting blocs within the Republican Party. You can think of it like a party within a party, and one that holds a lot of power because of the Republicans' razor-thin majority in the House. So here's what that looks like. 435 seats in the House of Representatives, 217 needed for a majority because 2 seats are vacant. There are only 212 Democrats and 221 Republicans, of which maybe 49 or so are members of the Freedom Caucus. That's the estimate by Pew Research because the group doesn't actually publicize its membership. But still, that's almost a quarter of the party.
They have, in essence, a veto power over Republican legislation in this Congress.
And for as long as it has existed, the Freedom Caucus has worked to block much of what it disagrees with. You can think back a few years to when John Boehner, a Republican, was ousted as Speaker. He had several clashes with members of the Freedom Caucus over everything from the debt ceiling to funding for Planned Parenthood.
And pretty much everything John Boehner tried to do that would even kind of hint at a compromise with the White House or with the Senate, even Senate Republicans, these 35 or 40 would automatically vote against it.
After Boehner left, he told Politico that Jordan was a terrorist as a legislator. The group's power and ability to hold up legislation was clear. Jordan, on the other hand, is exactly what those hardline Republicans want. He's seen as a champion of this small but determined group.
Jim Jordan is the right person for Speaker of the House because he is not beholden to the lobbyists and special interests who have corrupted this place.
But this only explains why Jordan has some influence. It doesn't explain how he actually gets the rest of the party to vote for him, which he is struggling with.
Some of us will not just be walked over on this, and we've been walked on since January.
That's where I'm at. I have no reason to change that.
That will take a lot of extra effort, despite some heavyweight help.
He's a fantastic young man. He's pretty young still, and he's very strong.
Jordan has sided with Donald Trump since the beginning, in everything from his involvement in the riots on Capitol Hill, his impeachment hearings, to his many indictments.
President Trump announced he was going to run for president again, and suddenly here they go. Now they're coming after him for some alleged bookkeeping error.
He's also well known to conservative activists and a regular fixture in right-wing media. So, when it looked like he might actually have a chance,
Ohio Republican Jim Jordan appears to be gaining ground in his bid.
As we've seen some of the congressmen and congresswomen who either equivocated about Jim Jordan last week or said they're not going to support him, today announced they're going to support him.
Jordan and his supporters went to work.
Any differences that exist in the Republican Party pale in comparison to the differences between us and the radical left, which now unfortunately controls the Democrat Party.
Well-known conservatives, TV hosts, and social media influencers quickly ramped up the pressure on Jordan's skeptics. Some posting names and office numbers of Republican holdouts on social media, calling them rhinos, Republicans in name only, and telling constituents to pick up the phone and demand they get on side. The message was clear. If you don't turn around and support Jordan, we will name you and we will shame you, to all our supporters. Even Fox News superstar Sean Hannity apparently got involved.
My choice for Speaker, the best option I think we have is Jim Jordan, the Ohio Congressman.
According to Axios and the New York Times, a member of Hannity's production team sent an email to some of these Republican holdouts, which read, sources tell Hannity that blank is not supporting Representative Jim Jordan for Speaker. Can you please let me know if this is accurate? And if true, Hannity would like to know why during a war breaking out between Israel and Hamas, with the war in Ukraine, with the wide open borders, with a budget that's unfinished, why would blank be against Jim Jordan for Speaker? At least one Republican also claimed his wife got anonymous text messages like this. Why is your husband causing chaos by not supporting Jim Jordan? I thought he was a team player. Others had more serious encounters.
Tonight, Republican Congressperson Mariannette Miller Meeks says she received credible death threats and a barrage of threatening calls since she switched her vote in order to oppose Jordan in round 2 of voting today.
Jordan has condemned all threats against his colleagues, but all that momentum and heft behind Jordan cuts both ways. It has triggered a backlash.
A lot of these tactics are not, they don't, for me, absolutely not. It doesn't work on me. Actually, what you've done now, you've cemented my position.
A lot of these Republicans who just have personal disagreements, and in some cases, personal grievances with Jim Jordan, and how you whip those votes of people who have said they just don't like you, or they have a gripe against you that dates back years, that's going to be a tall order for Jim Jordan.
This is, for many Republicans, the very definition of being stuck between a rock and a hard place. Without a speaker, Congress is paralyzed. It can't pass any legislation. No funding bills, no policy bills, no big spending for Israel, no big spending for Ukraine, nothing. And that purgatory is where the U.S. has been for the last 2 weeks.
Makes us look like a bunch of idiots.
This is petty. This is petty, and I'm getting freaking tired of it.
We're a ship that doesn't have a rudder right now, and I'm thoroughly disappointed in the process.
This is not responsible. We need to elect a speaker.
So while the pressure has been growing for some time on Republican moderates to just elect a speaker already to get things moving again, Jordan, at least for now, has failed to capitalize. The closest thing to a solution may be to just keep kicking the can down the road. Give the current interim speaker temporary power to just get something done. But Jordan has signaled he's not down for the count, for now.